What's good, guys? This is Travis with the Virginia Highlands Outdoors, and in this video I want to talk about how I lost my personal best largemouth just the other day. It was in this exact location. We're back at the briar patch. Now I cleaned me out a spot here, got rid of some of the briars. Now the reason being, 3 days ago I was working a young crawdad on a jig head, and a huge bass comes swimming up right at the bank. So I switched to a Cinco, and she had disappeared at the time, so I dropped it in just checking the fall rate of the Cinco. It was on the Wacky rig. It was a Cabin Creek 5-inch watermelon red flake Cinco, or stick bait, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so I was just checking the drop rate where it was weightless. So what I did is I just threw it out about where I threw that fish right there, and I was just lifting it up and doing a countdown just to see, how fast it would fall. Well, I noticed a huge fish just creeping up, so I just started barely jigging it up and down, and she comes up, and if I hadn't saw this fish take it with my own two eyes, I would have never known that she had that Cinco in her mouth. She just comes up and just barely tapped it. My line didn't move on the surface, nothing. I just seen the worm disappear, and I cranked back. Well, the problem was there's so much brush here that my line got caught up in the briars. Now I had to jump out into the pond in my work clothes, and I actually lipped the fish. I pull her up and see how big she is, and I'm just, in awe. It's the biggest fish in my life. Now, I didn't have a net, and you can see here I'm grabbing my net and relocating. I'd been crappie fishing here and catching some bluegills on some worms. So I decided, it was about dark 30 now. It was another chance to give this fish another shot. So I decided to tie on a white buzzbait here. Well, the deal was when I got hooked up with her, and she got caught up in the brush there, and like I said, I jumped down in the pond, I grabbed her, I lifted her up, and like I said, I was just kind of in shock at the size of her. Now, as soon as I get her almost up out of the water, she goes absolutely crazy. I lose my grip, I hear the dreaded line snap, a huge splash, and I'm standing in a huge puddle of mud. Nothing, no fish, no nothing. I'm just standing there in shock, like, what just happened? I was heartbroken. I prayed, please God, let me have another shot at this fish. It didn't happen that day. I went back the next morning, it didn't happen. I went back the next evening, I caught over 50 bass, which will be one of my next videos. Now there's a couple 2.5 pounders in there and a bunch of small ones, but the bite was on fire. So what I decided to do, is just come back, and I wasn't really in the bass mood. So I've never caught a crappie, so I thought, I'll take some worms down there and some crawdads and see if I can catch some crappie. Well, before this, I caught a bunch of small bass and a few good sized bluegill. Still never hooked up on my crappie. So, I kind of get frustrated, and it's almost getting dark here. The sun's going down behind the hill, and I figured, hey, might as well try it. Break out the $1 white Walmart buzzbait. And on the second cast, I get the surprise of my life here. Honestly, I never expected this. I was just trying to see how this would work from an elevated position, because I had caught 3 on the other side of the pond here the other day on the buzzbait. Nothing of any size, but I was having trouble with the rod I was using because I had a low gear ratio and I couldn't keep the buzzbait on top. So I put it on a different rod and reel, and right here I checked to see if my GoPro's recording, because the other day after I caught that fish, I took my GoPro off and it wasn't recording. I lost the biggest fish. I had no video, no proof whatsoever that this happened. But here's the cast. Watch this. Luckily, I grabbed my net this time and was smart enough to clean out a patch in this briars here, and I still almost not get her. This has been one of the toughest fish I've tried to land ever, to be honest. She hopped over the net this time, but luckily I get a hold of her and see how she goes crazy. That's what she did on me the other day when I dropped her.
Yeah, baby. Look at that toad. Oh, yeah. Yes, man. Look at that. Look at that. There you go, big girl. We gotta measure you. That's the one I lost. I got her. It's the one I lost. She has the Cinco right here. That's her.
Alright, I couldn't find my measuring tape or my scales, so here I'm making mad dash over to the car because I do have a backup tape measure. Still couldn't find the scales, and honestly didn't want to spend the time looking for them because she's loaded with eggs and I wanted to get her back in the water as soon as possible. I almost fall in the pond right there. We take another quick look at her here, and then I run over to the car real quick, get the tape measure out, and get a measurement on her, get a little bit of more video, just a couple photos, and get her in the water as fast as possible. Now, as you can see, the camera light is fading really fast here. This was, 8 something at night.
Look at this, guys. Look at that toad. That's a chunk.
Here I realized I had the fish out of the water for about 2 minutes, maybe a little bit more, so I decided to go get her a drink, and that way you don't want to overstress with a fish like this. So if you want to take pictures, be sure to be by the water where you can actually get them some water, get them back. Now, a bass is a lot tougher than a trout or anything like that. You definitely don't want to do that with a trout, but with a bass, they're pretty beefy fish. So a minute or 2, 3 minutes is not going to hurt them. At least I hope it don't.
Alright, guys, I don't know how much you can see of her. We got to get her back. She's an absolute giant. Hopefully y'all can see that. Alright, guys, hopefully you can see her. I'm going to turn my headlights on. Personal Best Largemouth. And so she's thick as she is, 7-8 pounds. My biggest one. Let's get her back.
Alright, here I know you can't see anything, but I had to work her back and forth for about maybe 45 seconds to a minute before she wanted to swim off, but she seemed like she had some good power to her. All is well. The fish lives to be caught another day and to spawn and grow. I hope you guys enjoyed my Personal Best Largemouth, and we'll be getting some more videos to you soon.
Yes.